and welcome. Today we just have a quick tech tip. If you have a variable capacitor, a rotary switch of some ilk, a roller inductor, potentiometer, something that you cannot clean and get working correctly because the contacts have worn out or they're too pitted or what have you. Silver conductive grease, and let's see if we can get this in close enough here. Silver conductive grease will probably fix your problem. I just pulled this capacitor out of the junk box the other day. It's going to go into our breadboard 7 transistor radio, and the grease was so dried out that it was literally falling out in chunks. So what I did is I picked the old grease out. I put a couple of little tiny dabs of the silver conductive grease on the ball bearings, and I was also able to remove the little contact back here. It just slips out, and put a tiny dab of silver conductive grease on that, and this has been returned to like new condition. Here's the same sort of thing. There's the spring contact back here, and you can see this is not a new capacitor, but a little bit of grease, just a tiny amount stuck in there, and rotate it back and forth will give you a solid contact, a solid rotating contact, and eliminate any noise. This unit doesn't have those little wipers. It relies on the spring tension here. Again, if you worked a little in here, it would quiet this capacitor right down. Have a rotary switch, and this one happens to be new old stock, but that it's worn out or dirty or just won't clean up properly. Let's see, this one here you can see is pitted. Let's say you couldn't find a replacement for it. A little bit of silver conductive grease on the contacts will probably restore it back to operation. Now I have to warn you, and take this warning seriously. This grease is conductive. If you get any on the ceramic, and this switch is handling high voltage, like this is something out of a, obviously out of a tank circuit or something, you get any of this silver conductive grease between here on the ceramic, you might as well throw the switch away. It's going to flash over at that point and be useless. It is conductive. What I do is I take a toothpick and I put tiny, and I do mean tiny amounts where the sliding contact would be, and as I turn it around, I'll expose, I can't turn this by hand now, let me grab a pair of, see if I can get it to turn. It's too stiff, it's probably frozen. On this one here, I would put a little bit of grease on the sliding contacts, work it back and forth, work it into the stationary contacts. It'll probably straighten it out. This one here you can see is worn down to the copper. The silver's worn through. You can probably see the copper shining here and here, here and here. This is a switch pulled out of something, I don't remember what. I would probably first of all put this in my ultrasonic cleaner, clean it up, then lubricate the shaft with some light machine oil and a little tiny bit of silver conductive grease on the contacts. This switch would go back into service like brand new. This is not cheap. I think I paid around $35 for this, and there's a little bit, 7 grams is what it says it was in here, 7 grams. And when I got it, it was filled to about here. I've had it for a few years. It's now to here. This is what's left down at this end. The normal tech or the average hobbyist, this will probably last a lifetime, but it is a lifesaver when nothing else works. I've had antique potentiometers out of antique radios, very large potentiometers that simply were not available. No matter how much cleaning, they were still scratchy and noisy. A tiny bit of this on the carbon and a little bit on the sliding contact of the pot was like new. That was several years ago, and it's still working fine. You use this extremely sparingly. And I would also advise, this is available through several, you can get this from Amazon, you can get this on eBay, you can order this from DigiKey. I would advise staying away from Chinese vendors. They could put anything in here like anti-seize because it's the same color, and it wouldn't be silver conductive grease. This actually has powdered silver mixed with a grease. It is conductive. And I guess that's it. A little tech tip. This has saved me more times than I can count. Maybe it'll save you. Thanks for watching. See you soon.